Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Hi, good afternoon. I'm audible now? Okay, so we will have a current affair test tomorrow at 11 a.m. and the test will be from 24 to 28 July. In today's class, I will discuss the three topics. The one is the roadmap of solar energy for universal energy access, managing the microplastic pollution in India, and initiative launched under Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. These are the three topics we will discuss. If time permit, after this topic, I will discuss these two. If time permit nahi karega, so you will read on your own. Okay. So this is the lengthiest topic. It will take approximately 1 hour. तो अगर हम सोलर एनर्जी के बारे में बात करते हैं, तो what comes in your mind? The government is focusing on renewable energy. So if we are talking about the solar energy, so what is the first thing comes in your mind? Any government initiative you can tell me about the solar energy? Any data? Okay. Tell me in which part of your syllabus the solar energy can be covered. Loudly. Science and tech, geography, polity, environment, economy. So means this topic is having a huge perspective from the GS1, GS2 and the GS3. So we will look all the perspective of this topic. So from this class, there is no other source you need to be referred. Everything about the solar energy I will cover here. Even it's about the prelims, even it's about the mains. So the class will be likely first we will discuss about the topic. Then I will show you the previous year question of prelims as well as the mains. And there will be the homework for you also. You will write the mains question specifically. Okay, so let's start with the data first. In 2010, the story starts from 2010, where India had only 10 megawatt of installed solar energy. In 2010, the India had only 10 megawatt of installed solar energy, and in 2022, India has 60 gigawatt of solar energy. Here target was 100 gigawatt, but India achieved 60 gigawatt by 2022. In this in between, there are various initiatives. In between 2010 to 2022, the various initiatives taken by the government of India. Even it's about the Solar Energy Corporation of India. Even it is about the International Solar Alliance, or even it's about the Panchamrit strategy. Panchamrit strategy, our Prime Minister, beloved Prime Minister, announced in the last COP, Conference of Parties. If we see the most of the country who are the part of the alliance, which are specifically for the solar energy in the tropical area. Okay. So in the case of India, India is also a tropical country. India received the solar energy, or we can say the sunlight, approximately 300 days in a year. Out of 365 days, India received approximately solar energy or sunlight in a 300 days in a year. And on an average, it received 9 hours in a day. We are taking the average because in the summer, it's all about the 12 hours. In the winter, it's all about the 6 hours, 7 hours. So on an average, we are taking the 9 hours. So total, the 2700 hours of sunlight, it has a capacity of almost 5,000 trillion kilowatt hour generation of energy. So this can be a perfect introduction. What India can do in renewable energy production, or specifically to the solar energy production. So you can write this in the introduction. India is a tropical country which receive sunlight approximately 300 day in a year and 9 hours a day, and have a ability to produce 5,000 trillion kilowatt hours of solar energy. So this can be a perfect introduction of any of the mains question which are related to the solar energy. And if the question is related to in the mains with related to target achieved by the government of India, so there can be another kind of the introduction you can write. In 2015, under the COP Paris Climate Deal, or COP21 we can say, India set a target of 175 gigawatt of renewable energy, and out of which 100 gigawatt of solar energy, through which India achieved the 60 gigawatt of solar energy. If the question is in the negative sense, you can write in this way because we are not achieving our targets. If the question in the positive sense, you can write the India has a target till 2030, India will achieve 500 gigawatt of solar renewable energy, and out of this 500 gigawatt, approximately 60% will be from solar energy. If the question in the negative sense, you can write this introduction. If the question in the positive sense, you can use this data. It's all depend on exactly what the examiner is demanding from you. So there can be the 3-4 kind of the introduction specifically for the solar energy. So this is the data about the solar energy you need to know. Now let's come to what exactly from the which part of our syllabus the solar energy can be covered, which dimensions we need to be required to cover in the solar energy. So let's come to the GS1. GS1 comes under geography. The first we need to be look at location. India is a tropical country. First is a location. Second is the industry, where the solar power industry can be established in India. It can be a question in the GS1, even in this year, related to solar energy. What are the factors which leads to the shifting of the solar energy industry to the mostly toward the eastern India? Third, we need to be look at the major projects. Major projects. The projects may be the largest solar power plant. Largest solar power plant. It may be the floating power plant and the upcoming largest solar power plant in the Madhya Pradesh. This can be the third factor. The fourth can be India rank in solar energy production in South Asia as well as in the world. In South Asia as well as in the world, because mapping perspective we will look at it. The fifth you can write here, India import related to solar energy industry. From which country we are dealing maximum? From which country we are dealing maximum with related to the import of the solar panels? So these are the 5 dimensions related to the GS1, the geographical perspective. We will look in the GS1. Now let's come to the GS2, General Study 2. Specifically, it comes under the international relation. Under international relation, first we will write the International Solar Alliance. Second, we will see, anybody can tell me what can be the second? Solar diplomacy. Do you heard about Solar Mama? Solar Mama. This is a project of the Government of India in African country related to the installation of solar energy into the Africa. The third perspective we will see here, the recognition in the UN. Recognition in UN. And the fourth we will see here about the changing policy pattern. Changing policy pattern of Government of India related to renewable energy, or it may be related to the solar energy. So these are the 4 perspectives with reference to the General Study 2 you need to be looking the solar topics. Okay. Now let's come to the General Study 3. In the General Study 3, there are 3 perspectives. One is the economy perspective. Second is the environmental perspective, and the third is the science and technology perspective. So let's see here. Sabne note down kar liya? Okay. Now let's come to the GS3. The first we will see the science and technology. We need to look at the photovoltaic cell and the solar energy. Not only can be produced from the photovoltaic, it can be produced from the photothermal process. So this is the science and technology perspective you need to be look at. Next is the environment perspective. First is the Sustainable Development Goal 7. What is the Sustainable Development Goal 7? Clean energy, clean and affordable energy. Second is the renewable energy. India target Panchamrit strategy. These are the environmental perspective we need to look at. Sustainable Development Goal 7, renewable energy, India targets related to the renewable energy, and the Panchamrit strategy. And the Panchamrit strategy which announced by our Prime Minister. And now come to the economic perspective. What can be the economy perspective? How solar energy is more beneficial than the electrical energy which derived from the non-renewable sources. And this was a direct question in 2021. How the solar energy is benefit from electrical energy which are derived from the non-conventional source. Second, the policy related to the solar energy. Next is the SECI, Solar Energy Corporation of India. There was a question in the prelims related to the Solar Energy Corporation in 2018. Next is the IREDA. IREDA, India Renewable Developmental Agency. IREDA. Then what is the shortcomings? Why the solar energy sector is not picking up in India? Next, the government policy, means the government scheme. Government schemes. It may be the Kusum, it may be the National Solar Alliance. Sandeep Bhaiya wala Kusum nahi hai, government ka Kusum hai. Then maybe the National Solar Mission, Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission, and some of the other initiatives started by the government of India. So these are the perspective of this topic. How many of you know these perspective of the topic? If you're covering any of this topic, please cover that topic from the all the perspective. Means you're making the notes at a single place. If there are any of the question coming from this, so you can easily write answer or the question. And the one perspective we missed about the solar energy and the agriculture, that will come under the GS1. Solar energy and the agriculture. Okay, now let's start with the GS1. The first we will see at the location. First we will see the location. Most of the country in the International Solar Alliance are a tropical country. So we can see the map here. The country is located in between Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn is mainly the part of the International Solar Alliance. In the mains examination, if you can draw this figure, rough figure, that will be add 1 marks extra in your answer. Please try to draw this map whenever you are writing your answer. So these are the major country. Till now, total 118 countries signed the International Solar Alliance. And out of these 118, 85 ratified it. 85 ratified it. What is the difference between the sign and the ratification? International Solar Alliance is ratified by the Kenya. So what does it mean? Means they will follow the policy which are mentioned under the International Solar Alliance and they will stick to the policy. And only the signatory means we are under the International Solar Alliance and we will look into the future what can we do related to the renewable energy. Okay. So this is the solar energy and let's now look at the what are the major plants in India related to it. Anybody can tell me the largest floating plant? Largest floating plant? Ramagundam. Ramagundam, Telangana. Largest solar power plant in which state? Which state has the largest solar power plant? What is the name? Rajasthan is a state, but what is the name of the solar power plant? Bhadala, Bhadla, Bhadala, Rajasthan. Then the upcoming solar power plant in Madhya Pradesh. This will be the world largest solar power plant. The upcoming solar power plant in the Madhya Pradesh will be the largest solar power plant with the 500 megawatt capacity. You can write its name. It's the Khandwa in MP. Khandwa in MP. Khandwa in MP. So these are the major solar power plants in India, and total solar power plants in India are the 42. Total solar power plants in India is the 42. Anybody can tell me the state which is having the largest solar producing capacity in India? Largest solar power producer capacity in India. Rajasthan. So let's see the top 5 states. These are the top 5 states. The number 1 is the Rajasthan, so you can write. The first is Rajasthan. Second is the Gujarat. First is Rajasthan. Second is Gujarat. Third is Karnataka. Rajasthan, Gujarat, Karnataka. Then Tamil Nadu, and finally the Telangana. These are the top 5 states in India which having the largest installation of the solar panel or the solar power plants. Next is about the at the world level. Which country in the world has the largest solar producing capacity? Loudly bolo thoda na. Country, not continent. United States of America is the first country which has the largest producing capacity. The second? Who is the second? Everybody know first. Second is the Japan. China is not in the top 3. Third is the India. आप इंडिया को अंडर एस्टिमेट कर रहे हैं मोदी जी के राज में. So the USA is the largest producing capacity of the renewable energy through the solar power. The second is the Japan, which is having the largest producing capacity, and the third is the India. We recently France से आगे हुए हैं. पहले France was on the third, but now the France is on the fourth. So this is the world largest producing power. In the case of import, producer. In the case of the import, so there is a data. India has a capability of producing the 60 gigawatt. India has a capability of producing 60 gigawatt of solar energy in a year. But we are producing only the 15% of it. Means we are only having the raw material, the solar power PV cells only for the 15%. And the other 85%, we are importing from countries. Importing from 3 countries. Anybody can tell the name? 85% of the raw material, 85% of the solar PV cells, we are importing from the 3 countries. The one is the China. Second is the other two countries are the South Asian country, Southeast Asia से. नहीं. हाँ? क्या? इंडोनेशिया नहीं है. These are the emerging economy. These are the emerging economy in the case of the textile business as well, in the case of the shoe industry as well. And the another one, let me tell you, Malaysia. Next is the Malaysia. So these are the three countries in which India is importing almost the 85% of the raw material, or we can say the PV, photovoltaic cell, from these three countries. So these data will enrich your answer. If you're writing the specific data in your answer, specific numbers in your answer will be enriched, and you can get the maximum 60% of the marks. If the question is of the 15 mark, you can get the 8 maximum. If the question of 10 marks, you can get the 6 maximum. That only when you are writing the data. This will also help you in the prelims. The country through which we are importing, the country who has the rank 1 in the solar power productions, and the states which are in the largest solar power plants, and the number of the states in the row which are having the top 5 states in the India. So these data is required with respect to it. We also missed the one dimension, urban planning. How the solar power will help in the urban planning. Now the government is mostly focused on the urban planning, as well as the UPSC is also focusing on the urban planning. They are asking the question related to the urban flooding. They are asking the question related to the in the society specifically urban issue. In the case of the urban planning, how? सबसे पहले बताओ कैसे करेगा? How? Think. How we can link the solar energy production with the urban planning. Rooftops, good example. Rooftops, if there is a rooftop, then there is a less requirement of the grid electricity. Means it will creating the independent production of electricity by the households. Means it can also generate the income. This is the one of the major benefit of the solar energy. Second, you can write about in the case of the some of the villages which are the Naxal affected area. Naxal affected area, or the area where the electricity is not available till now. No electricity in some of the villages in India till now. In those areas, installation is very easy. क्योंकि इसके लिए there is no requirement of the grid connectivity, no wiring is required. In the case of the Naxal affected area, specifically in the Chhattisgarh, there are the various lights which are operated through the solar energy. So that's also having a security perspective in that region. So this can be linked with the urban planning. Even in this, you can write an examples of the roadways. A good example here. In the case of the roadways, on the road you can see the maximum use of the solar lights on the highway. Even in the case of the bus stops, they are making the bus stop through the solar panels. So it can give the shade also, and it also produce the lights. So you can give the example here. So this is the urban planning perspective of the solar energy. Next is the agriculture perspective. There was a question in the 2020 prelims related to the solar water pumps. Kusum. In the case of the agriculture, if there is an installation of the solar power or PVC in the agriculture field, solar power PVC in the agriculture field, it will decrease the dependency of the farmers on the light, electricity. Decrease the dependency of the farmer on the electricity means it will also help to increase the income of the farmer. Increase income as well as also it will increase the production, because the availability of the light, if the light is available, then the water is also available. So with reference to the agriculture perspective, this is the one perspective. Second perspective, when we are installing the PV cells into the agriculture field, they will give the shade to some of the plants, specifically in the horticulture crops. In the horticulture crops, there are certain crops which require the shade, जहाँ पे धूप की requirement नहीं है. On those area, it will provide the shade to those plants and also produce the energy. So it will also provide the shade. But what is the negative? There is a huge negative. If the electricity is available 24/7 in the agriculture field, then there is a water consumption will increase. Water consumption will increase in those areas. Specifically, you can give the example of Punjab and Haryana, where the electricity is available and the groundwater table is very less. If this happens in some of the other area, that will also lead to the availability of the water, but reduce the groundwater table. So this is the negative perspective. If you are writing any of the points, so there should be an argument in the positive also, in the negative also. आप one side लिख के नहीं छोड़ सकते. But it will depend on the demand of the question, what exactly the question is demanding. Now, let's see some of the graphs related to the production data. These are the country chart, the top 5 ISA member country, specifically in the Asia Pacific, which is producing the highest solar energy. First is the Japan, and the second is the India. This is specifically in the Asia Pacific. But if we are going to the other region, Europe and others, there is the United States of America, which is producing the highest amount of the energy. Okay. So we are done with the geographical perspective. Let's see if anything left. We're done with the solar energy and agriculture. Location. Yes, we left with the industry. कहाँ पे locate होना चाहिए? Major projects, India rank in the solar energy and the upcoming projects. Now let's discuss about the industry also. What are the factors which determine the location of an industry? आसान है, बोल सकते हो यार. ठीक है. In the case of solar industry, there is a specific requirement. One is the solar light, solar energy. Means there will be a specific area, those who are receiving the light for the longer hours. Those who are receiving the lights for the longer hours. Second, where the inclination, angle of sunlight is high, we can say in the range of 75 to 120. So it can produce the high energy. Third, in the case, we can write operational cost. Operational cost is low. In which state there is operational cost? This operational cost means involve the labor cost, involve the research cost in those areas, and the plant cost as well. And the fourth cost is the supplying the power to the grid. One of the major issues, the solar energy, the storage issue. If the energy is produced through the solar panel, then how we will store that energy? So connectivity with the grid is the major issue. So the grid availability to the nearby area is the must requirement for the solar industry. Solar energy, inclination angle, operational cost, nearest availability of the grid. So it can be easily stored. So these are the industrial angle कहाँ पे solar energy industry को लगाया जा सकता है. So the specific 5 states are chosen by the government of India: Gujarat, Rajasthan, Odisha in some of the case, in the Odisha also, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, and mostly all of the states of the central India. MP, Maharashtra, they are doing it now. So this is the factors which affecting the location of a industry. And the last we can say the transportation. Transportation, seaport, because we are an import dependent country with relate to the solar energy. We are importing the PV cells. So seaports availability to the nearby area is also a must requirement. So these are the industry related things which are required for the solar energy. So now we completed all the dimension related to the GS1 with the solar energy. If there's any question, maybe the question related to industry, in the prelims, the question related to data, all can be covered from this data. Now let's move to the GS2 perspective. If anybody have any doubt, you are free to ask question. Okay. Now the GS2 perspective specifically to the international relation. Specifically to international relation. Let's discuss about the International Solar Alliance. When the International Solar Alliance was established, any idea? 2015 in COP21, that was the Paris Climate Deal. Okay, and the major country was the India and France. India and France was the partner country. Till now, the 118 country signed the International Solar Alliance. 85 countries ratified this agreement. '85 countries ratified the International Solar Alliance. There is a specific project in the UN by the government of India known as the Gandhi Solar Power Project. Gandhi Solar Park के नाम से है. Gandhi Solar Park. This was a gift from India to UN. This is known as the solar diplomacy. One example is this one, and the second example is the solar mama in the Africa. In this project, the India government established 193 large PV cell park into the UN. 193 large PV cell park into the UN, and these 193 cells represent every country. The one country is represented by the one PV cells. It means it is increasing the diplomacy power of the government of India in UN, United Nations. It increasing the diplomacy power of the government of India. And it was like $1 million. It was a park which established with the cost of the $1 million. And the second example you can write about in the case of the Africa. In the case of Africa, there is a Solar Mama project. Solar Mama project, which is the second project by the government of India, which is specifically focused on the solar diplomacy by the government of India. There was a question in the 2022, how the Indian government is changing their renewable energy policy with reference to the international relation. This was in the international relation question. So we can write about the solar diplomacy. We can write about the International Solar Alliance. We can write about this Gandhi Solar Park. And we can write about the India Panchamrit strategy that we will look on in the environment part. So these 4-5 strategy, these 4-5 policy will tell you the change of the India framework after the 2010 related to the renewable energy. अगर आप ऐसा सोच रहे हो कि सिंपल क्वेश्चन आएंगे, सिंपल क्वेश्चन नहीं आएंगे. You need to be add the specific things in your answers. If you see the rank, so there is a fact. If you see the ranks of the topper from 1 to 50, and the topper from 750 to 800, the 1 to 50 almost average score 430, 440 in the GS. 430 से 440 मार्क्स उन्होंने जनरल स्टडी में स्कोर किए. And the toppers from 750 to 800, they scored only 360, 370 on an average in the GS. So that gap of the 100 marks will decide the rank. It may be the one, it may be the last, or it may be the out of the list also. So these type of the content, these type of the case study, these type of examples is required in your answer. These are required in your notes. और एक दिन में ये add नहीं होंगे. This is a continuous process. It should be target based. Till January, till February, we will do this work. So regularly, if you are coming to these classes, you will get these kind of the content, and slowly, we will increase the topic also. Like we are taking for the 1 hour, we will also increase the topics, and we are going to release also a magazine on the monthly basis that will include these kind of data, these kind of examples, question also, practice question as well. So you can follow the classes and you can relax toward the current affairs sides. So this is the international relation perspective, and the ISA also launch a program. ISA also launch a program, one sun आगे, one world, one grid. One sun, one world, one grid. What is the objective of ISA? Anybody can tell what is the objective of ISA? What is the objective? Energy availability, energy security, energy transformation. These are the keyword you can use. Otherwise, you will be end up कि ये help करेगा solar energy को production करने में. Energy availability, energy security, and the energy transformation. These are the objective of the International Solar Alliance. There is a second project also related to it. You can write. ISTARC. ISTARC. This is the second project of the International Solar Alliance. Its full form is ISA Solar Energy, ISA Solar Energy and Tech Center. Solar Energy and Tech Center. So these are two major initiatives of the world level by the International Solar Alliance, and the headquarter of the International Solar Alliance आपको पता ही होगा, गुरुग्राम. The headquarter of the International Solar Alliance in the Gurugram. And recently ISA got United Nations Observer Status. United Nations Observer Status means it is recognized by the UN. ISA recognized by the UN as an observer status. It will help in the policy formation at the world level related to the solar energy. So this is about the GS2 perspective of the solar energy. Now let's come to the GS3. First of all, we will see the economic perspective. What is the benefit of the solar energy? Anybody can tell? What are the benefits? We are saying solar energy, solar energy, solar energy. What are the benefits? One time investment तो नहीं है, फिर भी लिख लेते हैं. One time investment. हाँ? Yes, this is a good point. Reduce the coal dependency. Trade deficit तो कम करेगा. And low carbon footprints. And if I divide these into the multiple parts according to the consumer perspective, What will be the benefit according to consumer perspective? What will be the benefit according to the economic perspective? And what can be the benefit according to the environment perspective? So we can divide the benefits of the solar energy into three subheads. One is the according to the consumer perspective. Second is the economic perspective, and the third is the environmental perspective. And all these points are comes under environmental perspective. So means you are addressing just only the one dimension. What about the two others? So if we come to the consumer को क्या चाहिए होता है? If you are going to buying a product, तो सबसे पहले आपका क्या रिक्वायरमेंट होगा? सबसे पहला तो चीप होना चाहिए. तो ये तो सोलर एनर्जी में है नहीं. Solar energy installation is the highly costable. So the first perspective here under the consumer perspective is independency. Now everybody can install the solar power project at their home, at their rooftop. There's no dependence on the government. So means decentralization. और जब जहां से पैसा आ रहा हो तो वहां किसी को बोलने की जरूरत नहीं होती, ऑटोमेटिक इंस्टॉल कर लेते हैं. Income perspective. In the some of the states in the country, like specifically in the Haryana, the government is giving a scheme. If you're installing the solar panel at your home, they will buy the extra energy. If you're producing the energy more than you consume, they will buy that extra energy. Means that will generate the income for the individuals. And next is adaptability. Adaptability. In the case of the adaptability, we are not shifting from the nature of the electricity. We are getting the same electricity from the coal. We are getting the same from the solar energy. So it's easily adaptable to everyone. When we are shifting from the feature phone to the now the new generation phone, there is an adaptability issue for the elder generation. But in that case, there is no adaptability issue. Anyone can easily adapt. So these are the consumer related perspective when we are adopting the solar energy. Now let's see the economic perspective. What can be the economic perspective? First, you can write transmission loss. Transmission loss. When the government is supplying the power from the grid to each household, there is a huge transmission loss, more than the 20%. So if we are installing the solar power at each building, at each industry, so there will be zero transmission loss because there is no wiring required in that case. So it will decrease the transmission loss. Less burden on grid. Less burden on power grids. Third, decrease the import dependency. Import dependency of fossil fuels. So these are the main economic perspective, and we can move toward the zero grid also. Means in the future, after 20-30 years, maybe there is no requirement or the very less requirement of the grids for the transmission of the power. So these are the economic perspective of the solar energy. Now let's come to the environmental perspective. Renewable energy किसी ने नहीं बोला. Environmental perspective, the first is the renewable energy. Second is the non-pollutable. कुछ extra produce नहीं करता. Like in the coal, we are getting the fly ash as a gift for environment. But in the case of the solar energy, there is no extra element in the production. Third, we are achieving a sustainable development goal 7, clean energy. We are saving it for the future generation. Less dependency on the renewable source, non-renewable source. Any other perspective? So these can be the major perspective as an environment. So this is the economic perspective. क्या benefits हो सकते हैं? Now we will discuss what are the reasons why the solar energy is not picking up in India. क्या issue है इसके पीछे? Like there was a target of the 100 gigawatt, but the India achieved only the 60 gigawatt. The first reason is the research and development. Research and development issue. In India, there is a very less spend on the research and development related to the PV cells, related to the manufacturing units, related to the industrial units. So that is the major loopholes. Second, implementation by the private party. Implementation issue. If the government is starting any scheme, like there is Srishti scheme, rooftop scheme by the government of India, but due to the implementation scheme by the private party, the schemes are not successful. So that implementation issue. Third, administrative issue. What can be the administrative issue? Administrative issue क्या-क्या हो सकता है? These are the local words: land acquisition, government policy related to it, and the project completion. And the सबसे बड़ा factor है finance availability. Fourth is the finance availability. In the case of the finance availability, the solar power projects require the huge money for their installation. Like in the case of the solar park, it requires the high amount of the money, and the government is not able to finance, and the private party is getting they're getting their benefits later on after 10 years, 15 years, because this is slow generation process. They will get their money later on. So that's a financial availability is a major issue there. To resolve this issue, the government established IREDA. IREDA. India Renewable Energy Developmental Agency. IREDA. And this is a NBFC, non-banking financial corporation. This is a NBFC. So these are the reasons why the solar energy is not picking in India. Next is SECI, Solar Energy Corporation. Solar Energy Corporation of India. It was established in 2010 and it is registered under the Company Act of 2013. Companies Act of 2013. And this is the only organization in India which is focusing on the trading of the solar energy. Trading of solar energy. This is the only organization. And one key point, this organization will not set up the price. Will not set up the price per unit for the solar electricity. And the SECI comes under which ministry? Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, MNRE. MNRE. Ministry of Renewable Energy. Its vision is to build Green India and power security. Green India and power security. There was a question in the prelims. There was a question in the prelims in the 2020 shayad related to the SCCI. So you need to be focused on the SCCI also. So this is the economic perspective. Now we left with the last government schemes. What are the government initiatives? So please explain administrative issue again. In the case of the administrative issue, like there is a requirement of the land. Requirement of the land for the solar panels. Like we are making the solar parks, so the land is required. So there is no clearance from the state governments. There is an issue in the acquisition of the lands. So that's the administrative issue. Okay, now let's come with the government scheme. What are the major government scheme related to it? And there is a one environment perspective also. If you want, I will discuss that also. So the topic can be completed easily. So the first government scheme is the International Solar Alliance. We already discussed about the International Solar Alliance. Second is the solar park scheme. In the solar park scheme, the government is establishing the solar park in the different states in India. As we discussed about the different solar parks in the Rajasthan, in Telangana, in Andhra. These are the solar park scheme. In the each states, government is focusing on specifically on the solar park scheme. Rooftop solar scheme. Under these schemes, the government start a campaign that every household can keep at the rooftop for the solar energy. So they can easily get the solar energy and can be independent on the power grid. So it have a less burden on the power grid. So this scheme was not much successful due to its implementation issue. Next is the National Solar Mission. This mission is implemented by the SECI. Solar Energy Corporation of India is implementing the National Solar Mission. And there is one more mission that was started in the 2010, Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission. It had a target of achieving the 100 gigawatt of solar energy by 2022. Please check this data. Shayad 100 gigawatt is 100 gigawatt of energy by 2022. There are two different missions, National Solar Mission and the Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission. Next is the Srishti scheme, Solar Transfiguration of India for the sustainable rooftop. After the failure of this scheme, the government started the sustainable rooftop implementation. Here the cost was very high. Here the government decreased the cost by providing the subsidy. So that Srishti schemes come under the line. Next is the Kusum, Kisan Urja Suraksha Evam Utthan Abhiyan, specifically for the agriculture fields and specifically for the farmers. And the next agency we discussed, the IREDA. IREDA specifically for the renewable energy, and it's a NBFC. Now let's see the last, the Panchamrit strategy of the government of India for the environmental perspective. Then the class will be over within the 5 minutes. So this is the first poster where Modi ji is small and the scheme is large. In the most of the cases, you will find the Modi ji is large and scheme is small. The first target is the India will reach non-fossil energy capacity by 2030. India will meet 50% of its energy requirement from renewable energy by 2030. This will help you to end your answer with the good data. In the way forward, you can suggest like the government is doing these things. India will reduce the total projected carbon emission by 1 billion ton from 2013, from now to 2030. By 2030, India will reduce carbon intensity less than 45% and the net zero by 2070. By 2070. This is the Panchamrit strategy by the government of India. लिख लीजिए, फोटो से बेटर रहेगा, 2 मिनट ही लगेंगे. यू कैन राइट द डेटा. राइटिंग से कभी मत घबराना, क्योंकि मेन 1750 मार्क्स का लिख के आना है. इन अ डे यू विल राइट a 2 paper, 3 hours from 9 to 12, then 2 to 5. So these are the 5 strategies. Now let's look at the question what was asked in the previous year questions. So we have a complete idea how the UPSC is framing the question. So I'm leaving the one perspective that is related to science and technology. So you will read on your own about the photovoltaic cell, how the photovoltaic cell work. So this is a simple homework for you, how photovoltaic cell will work. आपने लिखा नहीं? What's your... You are writing. Okay. So this was a question in the 2020. This is the question in the 2020 in the mains. The question is, describe the benefits of deriving electric energy from sunlight in contrast to the conventional energy generation. What are the initiatives offered by our government for this purpose? So we'll discuss all the part of this question. We discuss about the targets, we discuss about the benefits of the solar energy, and we also discuss about the government schemes. But you need to write this question into 250 words. These kind of the question you will find, and this was the question in GS3. And this question in the GS2. Clean energy is question. The next question is, this was in the GS2. Clean energy is the order of the day. Describe briefly India changing policy toward climate change in various international fora in the context of geopolitics. This will be your homework. You will write the answer and you can show me. And you can send also on a Telegram. Some of the part of this answer I discussed about the strategy in the UN, in the Solar Mitra, and there is also some of the other policy. But this is discussing about the clean energy. There are also the other way, the nuclear energy, the wind energy. तो उसके बारे में भी आपको कुछ डेटा देखना होगा. So this is about the clean energy. So you can write this in the 250 words. This is also 15 mark question. So if you see, in this question, there is no direct question from your syllabus. They're mixing the thing. Clean energy is the order of the day. This is a policy perspective. Describe briefly India changing policy toward climate change. This is a GS3 perspective, but in the GS2, in various international fora in the context of geopolitics, this is related to diplomacy. So you need to link all these 3 things in the one question. Now let's come to the prelims. This was the question in 2019 with reference to the solar water pumps. Consider the following statements. Solar power can be used for running surface pumps and not for submersible pumps. Solar power can be used for running centrifugal pumps, not ones with the pistons. What can be the answer? Why? मुझे पता था क्वेश्चन देखा है आपने, but why? There is simple funda. Submersible pumps are also run by the electricity. Surface pumps are also run by the electricity. So there is no change in the electricity. So both are easily run by the electricity, so there is no issue कि solar energy surface pumps को तो चलाएगा और submersible को नहीं चलाएगा. It's not possible. So this is wrong. The same with this one. The solar power can be used for the centrifugal pumps and not the ones with the piston. The solar power is only providing the electricity. The phenomenon further depend on the type of the pumps. So electricity के बिना तो दोनों ही नहीं चलेंगे. So both the statements are incorrect here. So you need to link with the general information, general science, so you can write this answer. This was a question in 2021. With reference to the solar power production in India, consider the following statements. India is the third largest in the world in the manufacture of silicon wafers. The solar power tariffs are determined by the Solar Energy Corporation of India. ये तो अभी हमने डिस्कस किया है, तो गलत है. तो कौन करता है? Who determine the power tariff? SCCI is not determining. SCCI is not determining the power. SCCI is just a trading agency. Just a trading agency. Ministry of Power. There is an organization under Ministry of Power that is determining the prices. So this is incorrect. And this is also incorrect. We are not producing even a single. They are saying the third largest. We are not producing even a single. जब तक 2021 में क्वेश्चन आया था, जब तक हम कोई प्रोडक्शन यूनिट नहीं था इंडिया में. So this is also incorrect. You can write the organization name, Central Electricity Regulatory Commission, which is determining the power tariff. Central Electricity Regulatory Commission is determining the tariff of the electricity. So conventional question nahi hai. They are linking with the application also. There are two other perspectives, like this is from the renewable energy. So you need to be focused on the international organization also. There were two questions in the prelims related to the international initiatives. The one is this one. The climate group is an international non-profit organization that drives climate action by building large networks. The International Energy Agency is a partner with the climate group, EP hundreds. So this is a question. So whenever you're reading the newspaper, if there is a article on the climate groups, there's an article on related to any of the agency of the climate change, please make a half-page note so you can write there. Because in the environment class in the coaching institute, you will find the content is not enriched with these agency. And because one of the reason in news में continuous basis पे आता है. So you need to update your notes as per the newspaper. There are two questions. One is this one and the second is this one. The partnership of action of the green economy. And this was the green economy is a budget target in 2023. So you can read more initiative related to the green economy by Government of India. Okay. So this is done from my side. Tomorrow is a test at 11 a.m. I hope all of you will come to attempt the test. And the date will be from 24 to 28. And there is a monthly classes also on Monday and on the 8th. Monday and Thursday. There is two classes more. Monday and Thursday. In Monday classes, we will focus on the editorial part of the last month. We will discuss the two editorial, what can be the approach for reading an editorial. So in this class, we will provide the compilation or 20 editorial of the last month, which are the most important. And I will discuss the two editorial, what can be the major approach, what can be the best approach for an editorial. And on Thursday, there will be a monthly compilation session. I will try to complete the location here, because you will see the prelims question paper, like there are the 8 questions in the last year and the 6 questions in the 2022. So I will try to complete the mapping location and also will provide the compilation of the last month. So timing will be the same, 2:15 after the geography classes.